Hey, everybody. Welcome to another session of Mission Impact with myself, Tracy B. Allen, Ty Boone, Daphne Pettis. And today is the last in a series of management, right? Organizational management, business management, whatever you want to call it. So today we're going to be talking about how to hire and retain good staff, right? Because that is where it's at. Being able to hire and retain good staff members. You don't have to be an HR expert to do it. You just got to use some discernment and some critical thinking skills and really look at what the person is able to bring to the table and not, oh, I think she cute. Oh, I think she could do it. No, none of that. Not even a degree is what determines whether or not the person is capable of doing the job. Having those real conversations, asking the right question is where you can find the right people. We need to stop looking at superficials and start digging deep. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Again, it's the last in the series. And if you haven't checked out the other ones, you need to go back and look at workflow manage. Let's start from the beginning. We talked about that wasn't the first one. Effective leadership. That was the first one. Effective leadership in nonprofits and social enterprises. You need to go back and look at that. And you can see some of the struggles that we've gone through, how we have overcome it, and tips and strategies for becoming an effective leader that is actually running a profitable program. And then we talked about developing and developing and marketing, I think, or no, developing and maintaining profitable programs, right? So we talked about how to develop a profitable program that attracts funders to you. So you're not always having to go out there and pound the paper looking for funders. What does it take to have a program that meets its expected outcome, who you need to partner with, or how you should develop those partnerships and attract the funders to come to you? Theory of change is part of that. And then we talked about workflow management, right? How you can stop from pulling your hair out, knocking on your desk, punching holes in the walls because you are so stressed out because you have so much work to do and you cannot figure out how you're going to find all the time in the day to do it. So we talked about some tips and strategies to actually automate your workflow management and to give that work to the people that you hire. Trust the people you hire. So that leads us down today to actually hiring and retaining, keeping them as your employees so you don't have a high turnover rate and you're not always having to train new people, because that in itself can be a frustrating thing to go through. So welcome again to Mission Impact. My name is Tracy B. Allen. I have over 20 plus years of experience in the social impact industry. I help nonprofit. Sorry, I do not. I help social. I have to get away from that. I was a nonprofit strategist for so many years. Sometimes it just kind of like rolls off my tongue. Right? I help nonprofits. No, I don't. So I work primarily with social enterprises and social entrepreneurs and small businesses, and I help them to design, build, and fund their ventures so that they, of course, have the lifestyle that they want. But I also help them to maximize their social impact in their communities.
I am Daphne Pettis from On Good Ground Strategic Solutions. I am a nonprofit consultant and strategist and social strategist. I work with nonprofit visionaries and founders, helping them to, effectively work in the position that they're in, their roles and responsibilities in the position of executive director, founder, and leader of nonprofit organizations.
I'm here. I'm Ty Boone. I'm Ty Boone Enterprises. Like Tracy and Daphne, I have about 20-something years of experience working with organizations, primarily nonprofit organizations, helping them to move from startup and struggle to sustainability and success. That is what I do. Now, what was our topic? I forgot. I really did forget. So y'all got to.
Ty, today we are hiring staff today. We're talking about hiring staff.
This is live. I'm sorry. Yeah. So, girl, it's hiring staff. Somebody need to be right over here with a topic card right there for me to take. I need to hire that person. Tracy, I think that the biggest mistake that we make when hiring, I'm gonna start with the mistake, is that we don't have job descriptions and scope of work outlined, right? So we're hiring people who don't know what we want them to do. And then we don't tell them what we need for them to do. So, we'll interview them, and like you were saying, oh, yeah, she's cute, she's nice, she's so sweet, and I like her personality, and oh, let me hire her to, to manage my program. We didn't even talk about program management in the interview. I don't know. Did she give you an example of how she managed the program? Can she tell you what it takes? And for leaders, y'all, and I think people always tell you not to be a jack of all trades. But if you're a leader, you're a CEO, you're the owner of your business, you're the person in charge, you want to know a little bit of everything, right? So that when you're interviewing somebody, they can't give you a bunch of wooden nickels because you can't spend them, right? If you're hiring a grant writer, for example, I've hired some grant writers on my team. It's important that I know about grant writing, because when I'm looking at their, examples, or when they're telling me about grants, I should be able to have a conversation with them that they can follow about grant writing, or they should be able to tell me some stuff that makes me know that they are an expert in this field, or at least a budding expert in this field. If I want you to manage my database, I should know a little bit. I ain't got time to be the data manager, but I need to know a little bit about it, so that when you're telling me what you've done, it's not something that's so far over my head that you can just pull the wool over my eyes and you get away without doing anything. Right. And a lot of times, and we have to also, I'm talking about scope of work, job descriptions. What is going to be required of you in this job? What am I looking for? What do I expect to have done? What are some goals? What are some deliverables that we're wanting to have met while you're in this position? And a lot of times we just don't communicate that to the potential applicant or the potential employee. We don't do it. And so when they come on and they don't perform, we're like, oh, they didn't do the job. Did you tell them what? I see this all the time with nonprofits and boards, and that's kind of a job, right? But they don't tell them. They don't know, and they're expecting that you can do this. I talked with someone the other day, and they're like, Ty, I'm interviewing, and people tell me they can do stuff, and when they got there, they couldn't do it. Now, if you're applying for if I say I'm a brain surgeon, and and I'm working in the hospital, and all of a sudden I get the first brain surgery comes through, I got to do this, whether you told me, hey, you got to do brain surgery or not, because this is the job I signed up for. So I know that as an applicant that you hire for this position, I better know how to do brain surgery. I better go. And my boss and the chief administrator of the hospital, they don't have to tell me, well, Ty, you gotta do brain surgery. That's the job I applied for, but being able to know at least a little bit about the process, what happens, what does this look like when you're hiring into, especially small businesses, so that you can communicate to your employees or your contractors or whoever you're hiring, what it is you're expecting them to do. And I also think it helps to keep them straight. Not that I don't like to micromanage at all, but when my staff knows that I know what they're supposed to do, I think that it makes them work better, right? It makes me work better when I've worked with other people as a traditional worker. It's like, okay, he knows that this is supposed to look like this, so let me make sure that it looks like this, right?
So I think
it's my internet, but it keeps glitching on my end at least. So yeah, and it could be my internet today. Yeah, I agree. That piece about knowing a little bit about everything in your industry, in what you're saying that your company offers. You don't have to be the expert, right? So you don't need to know every single little component of it, but you need to know enough that when you're having a conversation with a potential hiree, that you can discern whether or not that person is actually competent in the skill that they're telling you that they are competent in. Too many times I've seen people hire someone just to find out they don't know jack about what they said they know about. And it takes so much, it costs you so much money to hire and fire, right? Because it is time, time to put out the ad, time to look through resumes, time to actually interview, time to train, and then you realize, oh, this person is not working out. So like Ty talked about, making sure that you have clear job descriptions as to what the responsibilities and the duties of this person are going to be, and what are the requirements to getting the job, right? And then once you've done that, have a list, take some time. And I think, like you said, that's a big thing, because I always thought about, if I hired a full-time assistant, I did not have enough work for this person to do, right? So I was like, I don't need a full-time assistant. Well, my goodness, I took some time and I wrote down all of the things that I do in my business on a daily basis, on a weekly basis, and the things that I wasn't doing. That's the big thing, right? The things that I wasn't doing that needed to be done, but I could not do it because I didn't have enough time. I'm only one person. And so putting that list together of all of the things that you need to operate your business effectively, and especially the things that you aren't doing because you don't have enough time to do them. Because you're not doing them doesn't mean that they don't need to be done. So one thing I was very poor at is email communication. Like I keep telling you guys, if you listen, I hate emails, right? So even mass emailing my client list or whatever, I was just not doing it. Just to sit down, and I write all day. So writing is not the problem. It's just something about it. I had a block. So it was something that I wasn't doing. So that was something that I really put in the column. Okay, that's my assistant's job now. Go down the list, figure out what it is that you need to take off your plate to have more time to effectively do the revenue generating activities in the business, and put that in a column for someone else to do. Then determine from that column what it is, who you need to hire to effectively carry out those tasks. So when Ty talked about knowing what it is that you want them to do, you really do, because you don't want to hire somebody and they're sitting down twiddling their thumbs, just kind of like looking around, surfing the internet. You're paying them for nothing. You're losing money if you have someone sitting around not actually doing the job. So you want to make sure you have clear duties for them to do. And I also hate to be micromanaged. And I am not micromanaging anybody. I'm going to give you your job. And if you're a responsible employee, I just expect you to follow up. I shouldn't have to constantly ask, so what's going on with such and such, and what's going on with this person? That kind of stuff. You have your job. Let me know what's going on naturally. If I have to constantly ask, or follow up with my client, my employees on a regular basis, and things are not moving, it's frustrating to me. So you have to create a culture as well. That's a part of maintaining. Create a culture of communication. Let people know how to communicate with you and what is the best way to communicate. And one of the things I realized I had to do as a business owner, and trust me, I would rather not do it, but it's the only way to stay on track, because you can veer off track really quickly. And once you veer off track, everything is off track, right? So I had to discipline myself to have weekly meetings with my staff members. Whether you're subcontracting, you're contracting, you're a hired full-time staff member, I have to meet with you every week. If it's for 15 minutes, if it's for 30 minutes, and my staff and we've gotten to the point where we're friends. So half of the meeting is spent just catching up and shooting the breeze, right? But we talk about business. We get to what it is that we need to get to, and then we shoot the breeze for the rest of the time. But having those weekly check-ins, it just develops a routine between you and the person, and